The idea of empty space feels obvious. Look up at the night sky, and what you see between stars appears like a vast, silent nothing. No substance, no motion, no influence, just absence. From childhood, we are taught that space is the place where things are not. Matter exists here. Emptiness exists there. It feels intuitive, clean, and comforting. After all, if space were truly something, we should be able to feel it, touch it, or at least notice it doing anything at all. This belief quietly shapes how we understand the universe. We imagine planets drifting through a void, galaxies floating in cosmic darkness, and atoms separated by tiny pockets of nothing. Space becomes a passive stage, an empty backdrop where reality performs its drama. It does nothing. It affects nothing. It simply allows things to exist. But this simple picture hides a problem. Physics did not set out to destroy the idea of emptiness. It stumbled into it. As experiments grew more precise, nothing began to behave strangely. Measurements refused to stay silent. Effects appeared where nothing should exist. Space started acting less like an absence and more like a presence. If space is truly empty, it should be calm, inert, and irrelevant. Yet the universe keeps hinting that this assumption is deeply wrong. The most disturbing part is not that space contains something. It is that we have been living inside it the entire time, mistaking constant activity for nothing at all. That realization changes the question entirely. The mystery is no longer what fills space, but why it feels empty at all. Understanding that illusion forces us to confront a universe far stranger than silence, one where absence is active and emptiness is quietly doing the work of reality. It challenges intuition, comfort, and the boundaries between nothing and something, suggesting the void itself may be the most influential actor in existence, far beyond human expectation entirely. For most of human history, nothing was not a mystery. It was a solution. When people looked at the world, they divided it into things that existed and spaces between them that did not. A rock was real. Air was barely real. Beyond air, there was simply nothing. Emptiness was defined by what it lacked. No matter, no weight, no resistance, no influence. If something could not be seen, touched, or slowed down, it was reasonable to say it was not there. This idea felt logical because it worked. Everyday life never contradicted it. When you remove an object from a room, you are left with space that appears unchanged. Movement feels effortless in emptiness. Silence follows absence. Philosophers and early scientists accepted this quietly, using nothingness as a neutral background that required no explanation. It was simple, stable, and useful because nothing challenged it. The idea survived for centuries. The first crack did not arrive as a dramatic revelation. It appeared as a quiet inconvenience. Physicists attempting to describe motion and forces noticed that calculations worked too well only when space behaved as if it had structure. Experiments involving light, electricity, and magnetism produced results that refused to fit inside a passive void. Something unseen seemed to carry effects across emptiness. At first, this was confusing rather than alarming. Space was supposed to be irrelevant, yet measurements implied it could store, transmit, and influence. Waves moved where nothing should exist. Forces acted without direct contact. The equations hinted that removing matter did not remove everything else. For a long time, these inconsistencies were treated as mathematical tricks. But as experiments improved, the cracks widened. Space was no longer behaving like a backdrop. It was acting like a participant. Physics could no longer look away from this growing contradiction alone. The word empty suggests silence, but space is never quiet. Even in the deepest vacuum, where no atoms drift and no light passes, activity continues. Fields stretch invisibly through every direction, humming with influence, though nothing touches them. Energy fluctuates, appearing and vanishing so quickly it leaves no trace, like ripples on water you cannot see. This activity has no sound, no color, no texture, which is why it feels like nothing at all. Yet its effects are constant forces cross vast distances without wires. Light travels because something allows it to move. Particles respond to conditions they never directly contact. The unsettling part is proximity. This invisible motion is not far away in distant galaxies. It surrounds you now, filling the space inside rooms, inside atoms, inside your own body. What feels like stillness is actually motion too subtle for human senses, quietly shaping every interaction you experience daily. Energy is supposed to belong to things. A moving object, a burning flame, a charged particle, nothing, by definition, should have none. Yet physics uncovered a problem. When everything is removed from a region of space, energy does not drop to zero. It settles into a restless minimum, like a floor that still vibrates after the music stops. An analogy helps. Imagine an ocean frozen so perfectly still it looks flat. Even then, beneath the surface, molecules are moving. Space behaves the same way. Even stripped of matter, it cannot fully calm down. Fluctuations remain, brief and unavoidable. This overturns intuition. Emptiness is not a blank page. It is a tense one. The universe pays a price for existing, and that price is written into space itself. What feels like nothing is quietly charged with potential, waiting, humming, refusing absolute silence. And this discomfort follows us everywhere, even now inside. Once space is allowed to have energy, consequences follow. Energy has weight in the universe, and weight tells reality how to move. Space no longer waits politely while matter acts. It pushes back. It stretches, curves, and responds. Light bends not because it chooses to, but because the space it crosses is shaped by what fills it. On the largest scales, this effect decides the fate of the cosmos. Galaxies drift the way they do because space carries tension. Expansion accelerates because empty regions exert pressure. What we call gravity is no longer just objects pulling on objects, but space guiding motion from within. This raises the stakes dramatically. The universe is not devolving inside emptiness. Emptiness is part of the machinery driving expansion, structure, and time. Reality is responding to space as an active force, not a passive container, and everything follows its lead without exception everywhere. If space is never empty, what does that mean for everything we thought we understood? The ground beneath us, the air around us, even the thoughts inside our heads, all exist within a medium humming with unseen energy. How much of reality is truly independent, and how much responds silently to the invisible? Certainty begins to crumble. The calm void imagined in textbooks, the backdrop for planets and stars, turns out to be a restless, influential presence. Every assumption about isolation, about emptiness as neutrality, feels fragile. Should this make us afraid or simply aware? Perhaps both. We are smaller than we believed, yet more entangled with the universe than we ever imagined. Nothingness, it seems, is not a sanctuary of quiet, but a reminder that reality is far stranger, far more active, and far less under our control than comfort allows. Every moment you breathe, sit, or walk, you are immersed in a sea of invisible activity. The air between atoms, the space within your body, even the void above the clouds, all are alive with energy and motion that never ceases. What we once considered empty is densely packed with influence, quietly shaping everything it touches. The night sky is no longer a backdrop, but a living canvas, filled with restless fields and fluctuating energy. Our intuition, which once assumed space was passive, now seems naive. The emptiness we trusted as safe and stable is, in fact, potent and pervasive. This final realization reframes daily life. Each action, each glance, each thought occurs within a medium that is never silent. We have been companions to this subtle force all along, surrounded not by nothing, but by the restless heartbeat of the universe itself, humming invisibly beneath the surface of reality.